Sai Ram students, a warm welcome to all of you. Today's class is a continuation of our last class. Yesterday we had begun a new lesson, Educating Mother, which is written by Suganti Krishnamachari. This lesson basically has main characters as the narrator, grandmother. Then we have Ambu, who happens to be narrator's 12-year-old daughter, Ramu, narrator's 4-year-old son, Janaki, narrator's 6-year-old niece, and Venku, who happens to be narrator's 3-year-old nephew. Now, yesterday what did we see? Basically, the narrator tries to narrate few stories. When she begins with Goldilocks, what happens? These kids, they start interrupting in between. They keep on asking her questions. Ambu even says that Goldilocks is a murder mystery. So mother changes her story from Goldilocks to Red Riding Hood. Now when she is narrating this story, she says that this girl, Red Riding Hood, she goes to meet her grandmother. And while she is going, she meets a fox and she tells the fox that she is going to meet her grandmother. So what does the fox do? He takes a shortcut and reaches before the girl, frightens the old lady and dresses up as grandmother. When this girl reaches her grandmother's house, on seeing her grandmother, who is actually a fox, she says that, "Grandmother, why are your ears so long?" So Ambu again interrupts. She says, if the same thing she would have done or those kids would have done, grandmother would have eaten them and the fox would have spared them. So again, this forces the narrator to change the story, because when she looks at her mother, she senses something. She feels that, she can understand that mother is not feeling good about the statement that Ambu made. So she tells them that she is now going to start with a new story and she'll be narrating Cinderella. But whether she narrates or she is successfully able to narrate, this we have to see. And that is where we stopped yesterday. So quickly just go get your book and a pen and be ready to jot down the important points and the meaning of the hard words. Oh mother, not that simpering idiot who waited all her life for Prince Charming to save her. She could have escaped her stepmother by getting herself a good education and job, said Ambu. How could she have gone to school when she was made to do all the housework by her stepmother? I had her there. So when mother said that she'll now be narrating Cinderella, Ambu again interrupted. And what did she say? Oh mother, not that simpering, not that foolish girl who waited all her life for Prince Charming. She was thinking all her life that this Prince Charming will come and save her. Ambu says that, Cinderella herself could have saved her. She should have gone to school. She should have educated herself, got herself a good job. But then again, mother counter questioned this time. What did she say? What did she ask? She said, how could she go to school when her stepmother forced her to do household work? Let's see if Ambu has something to say on this. She could have gone to night school. Anyway, Mother, why are all the daft persons in your story girls? Who wrote these stories with a gender bias? Ambu asked indignantly. So Ambu is also smart. What did she say? Okay, if day school is not possible, she could have opted for a night school. She could have gone for a night school. Then she also has a question that, Mama, why are all the daft persons, daft is silly, so why are these daft persons in your stories girls? Okay, and who has written these stories with a gender bias? What is gender bias? When you have unfair opinion against or for a gender. Okay, so she says that why all these daft persons in your story, they are girls, and who has written stories like these? She asked indignantly. What do you understand by indignantly? Okay, she was showing some anger, annoyance at what is perceived as unfair treatment. She was feeling that all these girls were not treated properly. To begin with, Goldilocks. Now this girl, she lost her way. Okay, and she went to a cottage which belonged to the three bears. And there she had porridge and she went off to sleep. And then later on what happened, nobody knows. But Ambu felt that it was a murder mystery. Coming to Red Riding Hood. How come this girl is so silly that she couldn't identify that it was not her grandmother but the fox who was dressed up as grandmother? And later on, Cinderella. Why this girl allowed her stepmother to torture her? Why was she waiting for her Prince Charming to come and save her? So she feels that, these stories are written with a gender bias. Let's see what mother has to say. It was difficult enough trying to keep 3 children out of mischief by telling them stories. It didn't help if one had to be politically correct too. I had to think of a story where the protagonist was male and preferably daft. Now she is saying that it's very difficult to keep these children out of mischief by telling them stories. Yes, today's generation is they are technologically they're advanced. They will not listen to your old stories. They will have thousands of questions in their mind. So this narrator found it very difficult to keep these 3 children, keep them out of playing any mischief by telling them stories. Because the moment she started with the story, they had a question that even made her think. So she said that, now she had to think of a story where the protagonist was a male. Now she cannot say a story of any story where the protagonist is a female, because Ambu has already made a statement. So now she had to think of a story with the protagonist. Protagonist is the main character, would be a male and preferably daft. What about Jack and the Beanstalk? I have heard that one, said Ramu. That's the one where Jack plants a seed and a very, very tall plant grows from it overnight. So mother has a very brilliant idea. She says, okay, let's listen to Jack and the Beanstalk. The moment she says this, what happens is Ramu interrupts again and he says, oh, I've heard this story. It's the same story, right? Where Jack plants a seed, okay, and a very, very tall plant grows out of it overnight. Did Jack use a genetically modified seed? Asked Janki. So the moment Jack said, the seed that he planted, the very next morning there was a very, very tall plant out of it. So this, this made Janki ask a question. And what did she ask? Did Jack use a genetically modified seed? Now, what's genetically modified? Basically, the seed contains genetic material that has been artificially altered so as to produce a desired characteristic. Now, that Jack wanted a tall plant overnight, did he use a genetically modified seed? That was her question. And who asked this question? It was Janaki. It was no use. I had to think of something else. What about the old story of Patal Bhairavi, where a man wears magic slippers that takes him wherever he wants to go? So now mother realized that Jack and the Beanstalk will not work for these children. She had to think of some other story. And then she proposed a story of Patal Bhairavi. Are you interested in listening to this story? It's a story where a man wears a magic slippers and these slippers take him wherever he wants to go. And the moment she says this, let's see what happens. How were those slippers propelled? Asked Venku. What kind of fuel did he use? Asked Ramu. I fled. The moment she said, this man, he's wearing slippers and these slippers take him wherever he wants to go, the next question that Venku asked was, how were those slippers propelled? Propelled is, how did these slippers drive or push something forward? Okay, and then Ramu asked, what kind of fuel did he use? What kind of fuel did this man use in his slippers? And the moment these children asked these questions, she fled. She went away. Who went away? The narrator went away. So yes, students, like I told you before, it is very difficult to silence students or children of this generation with our old stories. Why? Because nowadays these children of your age group are very smart. Okay, you have many questions in your mind. Reason? You all are exposed to so many books. You all are exposed to so many to internet. Okay, when you see so many things, you have questions in your mind. Okay, you have an inquisitive mind wherein there are so many questions and you search for the answers. Similar was the case with these 4 kids. I hope, students, the lesson is clear to all of you. Let's quickly start with the value points. I'll be flashing the value points on the screen. Make a note of it. These value points will definitely help you when you revise the lesson for your exam. So make sure that you are writing them down. Let's begin with reference to context. The names parents come up with, muttered Ambu. Thank God you didn't choose to call me long nose or saucer eyes. So these lines were explained to you yesterday. Question number 1. Who was Ambu? Ambu was a 12-year-old girl. She was the author's daughter. Which name was she referring to? Now look at this line. What does she mean by this line? The names parents come up with, muttered Ambu. This line she said when mother introduced the story of Goldilocks. She found this name a little weird, and that's the reason she made this statement, that Thank God you didn't choose to call me long nose or saucer eyes. So, which name was she referring to? She was referring to Goldilocks. What does Ambu's reaction tell us about her personality? Ambu's reaction tells us that she had an independent and curious mind. Clear, students? Next, we will move on to the comprehension part, true or false. Take some time and answer these questions on your own, and later on you can cross-check the answers when I will be giving them to you. Mark these sentences as true or false. First one, Ambu was a 12-year-old boy. Was she a boy? No, she was a girl. So the first statement is false. The children loved the stories told by their mother. Did they love? No, because they always had some or the other question which mother couldn't answer. And mother had to keep changing the story. So they definitely did not like the stories told by their mother. Third, the mother told the children 5 stories. Did she tell them 5 stories? No. She began with Goldilocks, but she was interrupted. Then it was Red Riding Hood. Again, she was interrupted. Then she began with Cinderella. There again, she was interrupted. Jack and the Beanstalk and Patal Bhairavi. She did begin with 5 stories, but she did not tell them those 5 stories completely. Okay, so the answer over here is false. Ambu told the children a modified version of Goldilocks. Yes, she did mention that it could be a murder mystery. Nobody knows what happened to Goldilocks. So yes, this is true. The mother did not manage to entertain the children well. Again, true. The mother was trying to teach the children science through her stories. False. The children thought the stories told by their mother were difficult to believe. That is true. Moving ahead, this is on page number 74 of your New Voices course book. Fill in the blanks with the words and phrases given in the box. You may consult a dictionary. You have to consult a dictionary. It will definitely help you find the answers easily. So here we have a help box and few words given in the help box. What you have to do is, there are sentences given. You have to just fill in these sentences with the right words or phrases. Some people would consider using a typewriter antediluvian. My younger brother and his friends like only mystery stories and whodunits. My grandmother thinks that my mother is an indulgent mother, as she is always on our side. Dal and roti is the staple diet of many people in our country. Though the fight took place a week ago, there was still an air of hostility between the two teams. Not allowing girls to take up jobs in the armed forces is exhibiting gender bias. Many environmentally conscious people are working hard to preserve the earth. The use of genetically modified seeds is not approved universally. Last, many tigers become man-eaters as humans encroach on forest. Easy? Next is, now make sentences with each of these words and phrases. So these words given in the help box, you have to frame sentences, and that is your homework, students. So we are done with part 2. We have completed the lesson. The value points are discussed, RTC is discussed, and the vocabulary questions as well are discussed. So what you will do is, you will read the lesson once again, go through the value points, go through the RTC taught, and we'll catch up very soon in the next class. Till then, you will take care of yourself. Sai Ram and bye-bye.